Hey guys, so for today's video I really wanted to do something a bit silly and fun, and I thought it would be a good time to show you my vintage romance novels, and I'm going to rate the cover of each one out of 10, and I'm going to read you the blurb of each one as well because they're very silly, and I just think that that would be a lot of fun to do. I was originally going to rate like each novel itself out of 10, but then I realised that I've not really read a lot of them like recently enough to kind of remember sort of how good I thought they were, and I just thought it'd be more fun to sort of do it this way instead. So before I get started, I also have two other recommendations that I wanted to share. So the first one is that I think that you should all go see the film Challengers if you haven't already. If you like films that are about sort of really like weird toxic relationships but in like a really fun, interesting way, this one features that. It is a tennis film. I don't really enjoy sport, but like tennis is kind of, if I had to pick sports that I do like, then tennis is one that I enjoy. So but you don't really need to particularly enjoy tennis, I think, to enjoy this film. So that's my first recommendation. My second recommendation is if you like fidget toys, I recently discovered this amazing brand called Tangle online, and they have a website called Tangle Creations. It's by a man called Richard X Zawitz. You can kind of see, I'm going to try and show you, I don't know if you can really see this very well. Apparently he created these in 1981, so they've been around for a really long time, and I only just found out about them. It was originally like a wooden sculpture or something that he made, but then he decided to do like a lot like this. And they have like several different ones. I'm gonna start collecting them because I opened this and I just fell in love with it, and you can just play with it as much as you want and scrunch it up, and you they also like break apart like this, like that. So if you wanted, you know, if you buy like 10 of them, you could join them all together and make a really big one if you wanted to, but you don't have to do that. Oh, I can't get it back in now. So yeah, if you really like that kind of toy, then I recommend that you check them out. Okay, so we're going to start with the first book, but before I do, I'm just going to explain these are all part of a series called Zebra Heartfire, which is an American brand of novels. I don't know when the very first one came out, but all the ones that I have are late 80s, early 90s kind of time period. So let's start with the first one, shall we? This one is called This Wild Heart by Patricia Pelicane, and the front says, they blazed a trail of passion across an untamed land. So I'm just going to hold it like this so you can see it while I read the blurb, and then I'll kind of zoom in a little bit and we'll talk about what I think I would give the cover out of 10. Okay, so this one says, beautiful Morgan Wainwright was eager to trade her New York townhouse for the rangelands of Nevada, where she'd inherited a half share in the Red Rock Ranch. But then Morgan met her darkly handsome partner, the half-Indian, all-infuriating Joseph Youngblood. When he ordered her off his land, her blue eyes blazed with rage. But when he tried to scare her away with his bold caresses, her blood boiled with a different kind of heat. Youngblood teased her with whispers of what he would do with his searching hands and warm lips, and when he made good on his shameful promises, Morgan was willing to surrender more than a parcel of land. Joseph Youngblood had worked like a dog to turn the Red Rock Ranch into a growing concern, and he'd be damned if some well-heeled looker could sashay in and steal it out from under him. He planned to send Morgan packing with his rude talk and audacious advances, but after he'd tasted her honey-sweet lips and explored her luscious curves, he vowed to seduce her into staying in his loving embrace, where she belonged. Okay, so as you can probably tell from the cover, this one is a sort of like, it's going for that like cowboy deserty feel, so you've even got like the cacti in the background. Okay, so I'm gonna hold this one closer so you can see. We've got, not all of the covers have this, but a few of them have this sort of little like iridescent-y little logo thing on, which I quite like. It's sort of fun. So this one, I think I would probably give it a solid 8 out of 10, I think. I like the, I think they've used like colour really well here. Like the background is like really gorgeous and lush, and it really sets the scene, obviously. You know, they're in like a classic sort of passionate clinch embrace here. And I also really like this sort of white, like pearlescent looking title as well. Not all of them have that colour, and I think that it really kind of pops. So yeah, I think I would give this one a solid 8 out of 10. Okay, so moving on to the next one. Okay, so this one is called Midnight Whispers by Jane Toombs. And on the front it says, he offended her maidenly sensibilities and sparked her womanly imagination. Okay, so let's read the back, shall we? And again, this one, so some of them have what I just showed you, and some of them just have this where it says a zebra heart 5 romance. So it kind of differs. Okay. Flame-haired Nona Woolard should never have met that devil-may-care Spencer Quinlan. The level-headed schoolteacher carried a torch for another man, and she certainly didn't want this cynical, outspoken journalist to turn her world upside down. But the farther they travelled down the Missouri River, the greater the turmoil Spencer caused Nona. First she responded to his flirting, then she allowed him a kiss, then he invaded her dreams, and the grey-eyed innocent trembled to think what liberties the rogue might take next. Handsome Spencer Quinlan had had countless women before he met ravishing Nona, but none had ever filled him with so much with the challenge to conquer. The lusty newspaper man was driven to discover if the rest of her blushed as prettily as her face. He was obsessed with knowing exactly how every inch of her felt and tasted. And, experienced man that he was, Spencer knew it was only a matter of time before he'd be telling Nona the 1,000 ways he wanted to take her, moaning her name in husky midnight whispers. So as you can kind of tell from this one, some of them actually end with the title. So if you can kind of see here, the blurb ends and then it leads back into the title again. They don't all do that, but I think that that's quite nice. I like that. That'll, like, you know, loop back around to the title. So this is the next one. I think I'm gonna give this one maybe a 7 out of 10. I don't know. I like the kind of pose is a bit more dynamic, and the colours are nice. Yeah, I don't know. There's something about it that just doesn't quite work as much for me. I think that the colours are really nice. The title's nice, but yeah, it's good. It's a good one. It's a nice one. I'm gonna give it a 7. Okay. So next we have Gentle Savage by Kathleen Dryman, and it says on the front, she was determined to deny her heritage until she tasted his fiery kisses. Now this is another one that's sort of maybe even, there's a few that I have that are very much what you would probably say not very PC, and I think this definitely falls under that category. It's sort of that leans into all the tropes of like a savage man and, like, you know, stereotypes about Native Indians, which obviously isn't great. But yeah, let's read the back, shall we? London belle Valentine Prescott rebelled at the idea of spending a year in America with a horde of savages, but she'd promised her mother, Sky Eyes, that she'd live for a year with her people, the Blackfoot Indians. Still, she bristled with outrage when a towering Blackfoot warrior guide made her ride all the way to the Indian camp on a horse with no saddle, and how dare he call her Heart's Flame? But after a moonlight dip in a mountain stream, she stepped out onto a carpet of leaves softer than any London featherbed, and into the arms of her Indian escort. As Night Rider's lips crushed hers, the spirited miss saw her Blackfoot heritage in a new light, for her heart flamed at his touch, and her blood flowed hot with rapture. Night Rider was well versed in the legends of his people. He knew all along that the fancy nose-in-the-air miss was destined to be a Blackfoot princess, and he knew that a great passion burned within her heart. But he was wise enough to know that, like any young thoroughbred, she'd have to be tamed and gentled before she could be ridden. Terrible. Night Rider proceeded slowly, even averting his eyes as he handed her the soap for her bath in the moonlit stream. But when he beheld her creamy skin sparkling with diamond droplets, he knew that he could wait no longer to press his yearning body close to hers, and claim her trembling loveliness in destiny's embrace. That's just like probably one of the best blurbs I've ever read in my life. Yeah, so yeah, I don't know what to say about this one. Obviously it's not, it's very of the time. Yeah, I do still quite like this cover. I like the fact that the title is shimmery. I like the fact that this kind of, I'd say that this cover is probably even more salacious than the other ones. Like, she's even more undressed. Like, it's kind of like they're in the throes of passion here. So it feels, again, a little bit more dynamic. The background is very pretty. So I'd probably give it maybe an 8 out of 10, in spite of the, you know, obvious troubling elements. I like the little shimmery bit on the front. Yeah, so that's this one. Okay, so moving on. So next we have So Wild My Heart by Ashley Snow, and the little caption on the front says, "He made her soul sing a rhapsody of love." So let's read the blurb on this one. Okay, City of Dreams. Old New York was a thrilling place where a girl's most soaring ambitions could come true, and fiery-haired, emerald-eyed Katie McCowan had every intention of taking the famed Isle by storm as the most celebrated diva of the newly built Metropolitan Opera House. But when murder turned her world upside down, the statuesque soprano found herself confronted by an insufferably arrogant big city detective who had the nerve to suspect her. Katie vowed to have nothing to do with the sinfully handsome Josh Castleton until he took her in his arms and made her soul sing a song of sweet surrender. Josh knew Katie was trouble the minute the tall, long-legged redhead waltzed into his life. They're always tall, which I can't relate to. Although the tempting prima donna was also his prime suspect in a dangerous case, her kisses made him burn to possess her over and over again. But Katie was no songbird in a gilded cage. She was a wild and willful beauty who refused to give her heart to any man. Sworn to win her love, Josh plotted the ultimate seduction. Yet when he had her where he wanted her, hot and eager in his arms, it was he who crooned love's melody in a rapturous song that would play in his heart forever. Oh dear. Yeah, I think even though there's a singer in this one which I like, I'm just not really like, I feel like this cover's like really boring. Like, it's just not, it doesn't really do a lot for me. I don't know if it's the colours or the pose, or I don't know. It feels like it's not really telling you a lot, which maybe is because, you know, this one's a bit more like, there's not as obvious like a setting and things to work with. Like, it's New York and she's a singer, and I feel like it's not as easy to convey that on a cover as, like, you know, the other ones that are like cowboys and things. But yeah, I'm just not very impressed by this one, so I think I would give this cover a 5 out of 10, apart from I really like that they've like gone for like the purpley pink iridescent on the on this bit here. So yeah, that one's a little bit less impressive. Okay, moving on to the next one. So the next one is called Ecstasy's Gamble, by Amy Christopher, and the little caption on the front says, "She lost her innocence and won his love." And again, instead of the little shiny bit, it's got the a Heartfire romance in a heart. Okay, so let's read the blurb. It was sheer desperation that made Jessica Carlton try to cheat a man like Damien Trevor at cards. The raven-haired beauty needed the winnings to keep her greedy stepmother from selling her into a loveless marriage, but the handsome Duke was impossible to beat. So when it was her turn to deal, she took his cards from the bottom of the deck and promptly found herself trapped in his unyielding embrace, at the mercy of a man whose green eyes glittered with desire for more than revenge. Damien held the sapphire-eyed temptress tightly and grinned. The scheming vixen had thought she could best him. I love that they're always like vixens. But now he had the best of her. If she didn't want him to ruin whatever reputation she had left, she'd have to play by his rules now. And that meant spending as many nights as he demanded in his bed, where he could make her pay what she owed in sweet gasps of pleasure and soft moans of delight, until they had both won Ecstasy's Gamble. Oh lordy. Lordy lordy. Okay, So this one, I really like this cover. I think it feels like, I don't know, even though the other ones are all vintage romance novels, like this is really what I think of as a vintage romance novel. And I think a lot of it is this sort of like pastorally, like castle-y background. It feels very traditional. They're in like a field, you know, like this like passionate lovers embrace in a field with like the flowers. Like it just feels extremely cliche and stereotypical. Yeah, so I really like this one. I didn't really show you, I'm sorry, I've not shown you the blurbs of these, have I? I like the blurb of this one as well. They all yeah. So I think I would give this one an 8 out of 10 again. And again, it's got this like lovely like pearlescent white title, which I think looks really nice. So yeah, that's that one. Okay, so we're coming towards the end now. I have 2 left. I've saved my very favourite for the end because I just felt like that was like, I don't know, it just felt like the most appropriate thing to do. Okay, so the next one I'm going to read to you is called Cheyenne Caress. I'm so sorry if I got that wrong. By Georgina Gentry. And the caption says, "Her words spoke of hate, but her body betrayed her love." Classic. So this is the cover. We have like a bit of a different thing here again this time. It's like a little iridescent-y that feels, this whole like iridescent hologram thing was like very popular in the 90s. I don't know why, but I'm very here for it. I love it. Okay, so let's read the blurb. Even though 17-year-old Lucy hadn't a friend in the world, the slender, willowy half-breed knew she could handle herself with anyone except Johnny Ace. The full-blooded Pawnee Scout's heated glance made her shiver with fear and a tingling sense of anticipation. When he appeared in her quarters, she tried to run away, but she couldn't escape his demanding embrace. She shrieked that she detested him, but Lucy's body spoke much more eloquently of her desire. I feel like the consent issues in these are just, you know, terrible, aren't they? It's like, I hate you, but my body says that I love you, and like that's, yeah. Because they had killed his father, Johnny Ace had sworn to forever call the Cheyenne his enemy, even though that part Cheyenne laundress at Fort McPherson was very sexy and alluring. The Indian tracker knew he could never harbour tender thoughts about the chit. Whenever men don't like women, they call them chits back in the day. I don't know what it means, I should probably Google it. Then he came upon her all alone, and instantly lust raced in Johnny's veins. Before he could reconsider, the virile male was clasping his beautiful prey. Damning the consequences, he ravaged her mouth with kisses, eager for the moment when he would enjoy her fiery, tempestuous Cheyenne caress. Okay, so that's a little, I'm really sorry I didn't show you the backs of these, but I think the front is, you know, where it's at. So again, this is another, like, you know, maybe slightly less problematic one. It's obviously still drawing on like really heavy kind of broad stereotypes about you know, Native American Indians. I think this one, the fact that they're both like Native American Indian maybe makes it a little bit better. Not 100%, it's not as bad as Gentle Savage, but it's still sort of, you know. But in spite of that, I think that this is one of my favourite covers. I think I would give this a 9 out of 10. I just really like the use of colour on this one. I think like it's got these really soft, pretty, like feminine colours going on with the like purpley pinks, and then like it's really like beautifully contrasted that with this like gorgeous emerald green on the title. And then, as I said before, I really love this little I'm trying to show you like there's some words on it, but I can't quite see what it says. I think it must be zebra romance, maybe. Little person there. Yeah, so I really and again, I think that the pose is a bit more dynamic. I always love the ones where they have like the flowing hair and they're kind of like, all the women are always like tilted back, aren't they, so the men can kind of lean in and like kiss their neck or whatever. Oh, and she's got I didn't even notice her hand was there. But yeah, I think that and having the horse on it is quite nice as well. It just feels a little bit different than the other ones, and yeah, I really like that. So that's that one. Okay, so now we're going to move on to the last one, which is my favourite of the pile. I do actually have another one on the way, which is about a knight and a woman. I decided not to wait and film it just because the cover of that one's not very interesting, but maybe in the future, if I acquire like a few more of these over time, I could do like another video for people who like watching these and seeing what the covers look like and stuff. Okay, so this is the last one. It's called Pirate's Bride, and it's by Lynette Vinette. And the caption says, "He'd take her with or without her I do." Again, not very not very consensual. Oh dear. And yeah, this is the cover. I'll go into why I love it in a moment. Oh, it's got the just got the little heart and the zebra heart 5 romance bit on it again. Okay. All young Bethlyn Talbot had wanted when she set sail for the colonies was to track down the husband she'd been forced to wed as a child. Then her ship was attacked by the infamous privateer Hawke, and the honey-haired prisoner had to think of how to escape the brash buccaneer. But with his magnetic personality and towering physique, Bethlyn was more trapped than had she been bound in chains. For after years of marriage to a complete stranger, the yearning, passionate woman was ripe for romance with the phantom of the seas. With his dangerous life and spirit of adventure, the hot-blooded Hawke never hesitated to indulge in a brief, torrid love affair. And when he saw the curvaceous beauty aboard the ship he was raiding, Hawke decided then and there he'd claim her before nightfall. Then the light skirt pretended maidenly virtue, and the aroused male only became even lustier, only to discover she'd been telling the truth. Past the point of no return, Hawke commanded Bethlyn, for this voyage only, to submit to his will as the captain's mistress, and without a ring or preacher, to be the pirate's bride. So, this one I think is my favourite cover, and even though I'm a bit sad that it doesn't have the iridescent fun things on, I think it's maybe just, I really love the pinks and the purples. It's got this like sunset feel to it, and I just think all the colours work really nicely together. I think that even though their pose is a little bit less sexy, it feels very romantic, which I like that a lot. Yeah, I don't know what it is about it, but I think it just looks like a really pretty cover, and yeah, I'm a big fan of that. So I think I would probably give this one a 9 out of 10, or maybe a 10. Yeah, so that is all of them. I hope you enjoyed seeing those. I really enjoyed reading them out loud. I think you don't always realise how ridiculous they are until you actually take the time to read the blurbs. So yeah, that was a lot of fun. Yeah, that's everything from me for now. Definitely check these out if you haven't already and you love fidget toys, because they're amazing. I'm gonna buy many of them over time and just start my own little collection. But yeah, thank you for watching and have a great day.